Today we are going to be making something beautiful on my new pottery wheel that I got for Christmas. This was one of my little Christmas gifts. I really wanted one for a long time. So anyway, we have made that look all beautiful. Now let's just stop the wheel so that we can put everything on. And I also have a new microphone, so I hope it's going to pick up everything much better. So the center is here and we're just going to slap it on. And of course that's not all you do. We need to center it, which is basically making sure that this is sitting in the center, otherwise it'll be wobbly and it will go everywhere. And you know, I am pretty new to working on the wheel, but you know, so I'm going to like make it on, this is basically full speed. Wet my hands, that's the main thing that you want. We're going to be working with our palms, and look, I've learnt this from watching so many videos, and this is the thing, you know, we want to make sure that this is centered, and then of course we're going to spin it up, so we're going to hold it onto nice and tight. And I'm working with about 450 grams of clay, so just a small amount. And if I make a big mistake, it's not really the end of the world, is it? So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And look, it takes so much practice. When I first started this, you know, and I did actually do a course on this many years ago, my friends. I promise you I did, 30 years ago. So, and I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert because, like I said, I'm absolutely not. But if I can teach someone something, or they can go, oh, well, if she can do it, maybe I can. But water is your best friend. And if you want to make lots of them the same, you kind of can measure it as we're going along. But anyway, we've done the main bit. I'm pretty happy with that centering. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to open it up so that it can be some sort of a jar or bowl or whatever. And my goal is to make candle jars. So you can see it's not super big, which is fine, because that would actually depend on, you know, the size that you're wanting. So let me just wet my hands a bit more. Just going to put our fingers in the middle. My hands just, it's not, my fingers really aren't on it. It's just kind of like, you know, stopping it from falling. And you have to gently take your hands away. That's a mistake I made at the start. I just was like, was rushing to pull my hands away from the clay. And of course, this is only the first bit of making clay, of making these containers. So many more. You got to fire them, glaze them, let them sort of get time to cure a bit, you know. So many things. But anyway, this is the start. And like I said, I thought if I can show anyone something, and there's many ways. Some people use one finger, one. I've tried a few, and I definitely find that doing the thumb is the easiest for me. So I've just pulled it this much across, and we're just going to sort of go in the middle. We want to sort of compact that a little bit. Like I said, wetting your hands is so important, and being, you know, just being gentle. And I can you see how I bumped that? That's what happens, but we're just going to go with it for now because it's good practice. I've got a few that I'm going to do. Now let me stop this and I'll show you. Can you see how it's kind of like, now it's wobbly, it's not. So what you can do is you can literally pull it off and start again. That's usually what I do, but we might actually just practice doing the walls. So I'm just going to put the speed down a little bit. You don't want it as, you want it high speed when you start to center it and then so on. But anyway, this is a good practice just to kind of like go, and we're just going to make the walls higher. So basically on one side, I'm kind of pushing in one side and then I'm pushing into the center as well. And then slowly we just go up the walls, and if you can kind of see the walls lifting. Now, like I said, I know this isn't beautifully centered because I knocked it, but I thought it doesn't matter because, you know, we want to practice. You're not going to make the first jar the first time, I promise you. Now, can you see how wobbly this looks now? Can you see how it's like wonky donkey because it wasn't centered? that's what actually happens. So we may clean it all up, and I don't throw this out. You can actually keep this, put it back on the board, and it will dry out a little bit, and we can use it again later. But I'm going to obviously scrape things down a little bit, or you can actually put it into a container and then you can sort of remold it all later. It's very squishy, and my husband says that he knows I have lots of fun with it because I love being messy and getting my hands all grubby. Anyway, let me get some utensils and we'll fix this up. Now I'm just going to clean this a tiny bit. We'll just clean all this mess off. And I'll actually use my other tool to get the rest of the clay in the middle off. You can see obviously I've been practicing a lot. And there's all sorts of different wheels as well. This is just a small one. There's ones that are heaps bigger. But I'm not going to be making bowls and plates. My whole purpose, honestly, is to make candle jars and maybe some mugs. But I do want to get some bats for the middle, which basically means they just attach into the middle. That's what the bat is. Sort of has little spikes here, and you put an extra board on top, so then you don't have to keep doing this. Anyway, so we want this to dry out a little bit, otherwise the clay's not going to stick super good. But for now, you can see we've cleaned all of that mess off, and I do actually have another cloth here. And you know what? I actually was looking online, and I noticed that there weren't that many people that were like really new showing a video. And I'm not going to say like I've never done this before, because I've only ever used the wheel twice before I bought this wheel, and I've practiced now. I reckon I've done at least 20 on here. Most of them have been duds, haven't really worked. But you know what? You've got to start somewhere, my friends. You really do. So anyway, that's my thought process on this whole thing. So anyway, we've cleaned all that, made it nice. So now we're going to get another clay. We will start again. We will center it and do everything else. So before you start, you actually need to wedge the clay, which basically is just kind of doing this, and it's almost like kneading dough. So anyway, so that's kind of the whole process of this, and I've already done that. I've already pre-done it, and each of the clays I'm working with around 450 to 500 grams. I've tried doing a really tiny one, which I did that. I've also tried doing a 1 kilo one. I actually find 450, I reckon 400 to 500 actually grams is probably really good starting point if you're new and you really haven't really used a wheel before. And there's so many alternatives to wheels. Of course, you can buy a big $2,000, $3,000 one, but you can also get one that's $300. And yes, the $300 one is not going to be as good as the good one, but the expensive one, but it's a great starting point and it'll give you something to practice on. So let's go and get the other clay. So I'm just going to go and get that. So like I said, I have another one here, just sitting here, and I will show you the other ones that I did a bit later. So we've got the ball of clay sitting here, and let's just slap it down on here. I know that doesn't sound like a very technical term. Of course it's not. Now this isn't in the center. You kind of just eyeball it, but then by pushing it with your hands is going to make it centered. But I guess I just really wanted to show you something a little bit different. As you know, I'm a soap maker, but soap makers need to bring in other products. You know, you can't just go and say, oh, well, I'm just going to only make soap, and too bad if no one likes it. So if you can see, because my hands are pressed on, and then what's literally, if you can see, my hands here are pressed on either side to do this, and then you're sort of pushing it down, making sure it's wet in between, which it wasn't. It's a little bit sticky. And like I said, I'm still learning so much, and I just think with everything, look, there's no real right or wrong. What's right or wrong? Nothing. You know, it's just how you're doing it, as long as you get the result in the end, to me, is what we're trying to get. So, and you'll be able to see, because it will look wobbly. If it looks wobbly, it's no good. And if I put my finger here and my finger's like not giving me a smooth line, well, we know it's not very good. So you can center it a few times. We'll just try one more go. Push it down again. And I think I'm fairly happy with that. We'll give this a go, my loves, and see what's going to happen. Like I said, make sure your hands are... And, you know, make sure you're doing this in a place where you don't care if it's going to be messy. Even though the water kind of gets that, it does make a little bit of mess around. It definitely does. So, I'm just kind of bringing this down a little bit. So this is kind of what you want. And then what you can do is you can, like, just do this at the bottom, like, make sure it's all looking beautiful, because we're going to clean this up later. And now let's do what we did before, and we're just literally going to put our fingers in the middle to make a hole, because obviously that's what we want to do. And if it's not sticky enough, it will not work. One thing I definitely noticed is getting it to the size you kind of want at the start is the tricky bit. You know, because you don't want this bit to be too thin and you don't want it to be too thick either. And you do need to compress the middle, or else when it dries out it will actually crack. So I just kind of do it as I go along. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but so far it is working for me. Now, to me, that's kind of good. You know what? I actually think you could almost leave it like that if you didn't want to pull the walls up. What I actually want to be able to do is not just do a cylinder, but do one with a bit of a curve. And I've seen lots of people do them all differently, so I'm definitely not going to say anything's right or wrong. And you can use your hands, you don't have to use... Now, one thing I've done already, which I can kind of feel like it's a bit wobbly again, it's because I took my hand off my knee and let my hands, like, wiggle too much. Let me show you. So, for the naked eye, it kind of looks okay, doesn't it? But I can see that this side is moving a bit not perfect. And, you know, the more you touch it and whatever else, it is quite slimy. But once it starts going off, it's very hard to come back from that. That's the one thing I've noticed. You kind of got to start again. So let's just... So this is on 130 is my speed here. And we are slowly going to pull up these walls. And like I said, this is a good practice. I really believe in doing this as a practice, and don't worry if it doesn't work. And I will actually show more as I go along with my process of doing this, because I think this is good for us all to learn, you know. So like I said, you can use your hands and slowly pull the wall. If you can see the wall pulling up. And as I said, it's not perfect because it's a bit big, but it's okay. And like, if you wanted to make this the same, you'd be measuring this each time and sort of getting them to the same. But, you know, look, I might even just glaze a few. Even if they're not perfect, I'm still going to glaze them, because that's good to see the glazing techniques that I want as well. Now, can you see how wobbly it is? Because I took my fingers off too early. So I'm going to show you something. So now, this doesn't look beautiful, I know, but what you can actually do here, I did this earlier, you just can use this and kind of, you know, flick over the sides and, you know, make something a little bit pretty. But for now, we know that this is a little bit of a dud, don't we? So take it off. Now, can you see how I've already done two, and two of them haven't been amazing? And that's the thing about learning, you know, like even in my soap industry, I get a lot of people asking me, how do they do something because they're stressed that it's not working? I just tell them, practice, practice, practice. So I'm going to keep practicing with this, but I'll show you one that I did do and it turned out really beautiful and I was really proud of it. So here's one that is wet. I did before. So this one did turn out and you know, look, I reckon I did 20 before I got one good one. But I kind of feel like I understand the process a little bit more and now it is just practicing and refining this. So I'm going to dig this off, the same thing, and we're just going to play around and we'll get some more because the clay only costs $20 for a massive block, so it's not expensive. It's really cheap to be able to do, but, you know, you can make so many fun things. And I will show you another one I did. This one's been drying a little bit more. And this is what I was talking about before. If it wasn't working perfect, then I kind of see how I wiggled the edges. So then I've still got a really nice bowl. And, you know, we can trim the edges, sand them down, whatever, but it doesn't matter. This was one of the earlier ones I made. And then I stamped it in the middle with my Nelson stamp. So, yeah, so I hope you see how fun it can be. And, you know, having a soap thing, you could easily make like soap dishes as well. You could make a little one, a little tiny soap dish, and then you could poke some holes into it or something so that it's draining the water out. And then maybe a bowl underneath that, so it could be like a two-piece, like a little bowl and then a little plate. That would be a really sweet idea as well. But yeah, so that's what these ones look like. And they do look beautiful. I've already got some that I made that I slip casted in the other room. And those ones are going to be fired next. But everyone's away for 2 weeks on holidays. So I'll go and get some glazes when everyone comes back in mid-January, which is fine. I'm happy to wait for that. And it will give me a chance to get some more things fired. And I'm hoping to get my little baby kiln in February, because there's none in the country now until I think the 20th of February they come in. So once they come in, I'll be ordering that and then we can get making some stuff and I'll show you. Yeah, but my kids all put together and my husband bought me this because they knew I really wanted one, which was so sweet and a really lovely gift because I'm not a person that likes like little trinkety things sitting everywhere. So this was really, honestly, a perfect gift for me. They know I love to make things. I love to be messy because what's life without a bit of craft? So we're just going to clean down this board. And, you know, this is the thing too. We can easily, let me see what's happening, little board. Just going to take some of this clay off. And a lot of them come with these utensils, but if they don't, you can buy them. They're really cheap. They are not expensive. This is just wood. So it's really not that great, I've been told, to use metal on a metal like board or wheel. So that's why I'm using that. Anyway, it's looking beautiful. Let's have another go. Now, I'm not going to make the wheel move, but I just thought I would show you. So basically, this is the process of, you know, kneading it, or it's not really called kneading, we know. And I did watch it. This is called the Ram's roll or whatever they call it. I'm not going to pretend I know because I don't. But I did actually watch somebody and I thought, oh, that's really good. And there's so many great people. One of my favourite people to watch with glazing, her name is Sarah. Sarah, I think it's Sarah Walton. Anyway, she's very good. I really like her. But, you know, like, you don't want to do it 2 or 3 times. You want to make sure you keep going with this. And once we've done it, and I had already done this a little bit, but I thought it's been sitting there for a while, let's do more. And then, you know, want this into a bowl shape. So I hope this is an interesting video. If you love it, make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my little cutie pie channel, because that would be a bit fun, wouldn't it? So now, like I said, once again, we're going to pop it on. And I'm just going to put a tiny weeny bit of water, not much, only want a little bit. I know that sounds aggressive, but if you don't do it, this isn't going to work. So I've got this on about 300 is the speed to, as we said before, remember how I was talking about centering this? And you can tell because in your hands it's kind of like, it's wobbly and we can't get it to work. So that's how you know. So I kind of feel like I've got this bit okay. And I'm not going to say I've got it perfect. I definitely do not. So we can get it to the top like this, and then we're going to like just slowly bring it back down again. And if it's like a bit wobbly, like it's not perfect, I can tell that, you can just cone it back up again. This is called coning it up and coning it down. And I think as you get better at understanding the process, I really feel like that's when you don't use as much water. But I think most people that are fairly new would use heaps of water. Now can you see how I just did that? So if you put your hands on it and it's wobbling everywhere, you just know it's not right. Anyway, so we're just going to go down a little bit more. Look how beautiful it looks. A bit cute, doesn't it? So basically on here, I'm just trying to like get it to the right shape. So anyway, it's not, you know, like I said, I'm not any professional, so please don't be mean to me. If you are and you go, wow, she's doing that wrong. From all the videos I've watched, I've spent, oh my gosh, I can't think of how many dozens of hours I've watched already. Over since Christmas, because I got this at Christmas this year, which is 2025 now, but it was 2024 Christmas, because we're only on the 1st of January today. But anyway, like I said, it's been a fun ride. I'm really enjoying doing it. The one thing I'm finding that I think I'm doing kind of wrong is like pulling it out too far at the start, so it doesn't give me much of a chance to kind of build up the edges, so to speak. But I watched a few people and they were saying don't worry about that, just sort of, you know, learn to build it out. But the main thing is like keeping your hands on your leg or into your body. And I'm just compacting this, so like if you can see, I'm just literally, you know, this came with it. This is just like a $2 sponge thing. You can get it in any pottery place. If you're in Victoria like me, one of the places that I've been to, which is really good, and let me just turn the speed down because we made that mistake before, didn't I? So I'm going to do this at like 140 so that I can do the edges up. And on the speed 2, you have this, so let me show you. So you can reverse it. So if you reverse it, which this is the wrong way because I'm telling you it is, for me, because I'm a righty, if you're a lefty, you can reverse it to get it the right way. And then we're literally just going to very slowly, got to push in at the bottom and push in at the top, and then we're slowly bringing this to the top. And then release. Now, if you were doing candle jar, I reckon you could almost leave it like this, seriously. Depends on what kind of jar, but I want one that has a bit of a bump at the bottom, like it's kind of a little bit rounded. Now, can you see how now this time I've kind of been really careful to release my hands a little bit more gentle? Rather than coming off the wheel too much, because the more you come off the wheel, the harder this is. And I can see it wiggling a bit too much now. Like I said, I just think it takes a long time to really get this process happening, and I just think you have to practice so much, you know, and getting this right. And I just kind of want it to go in a little bit at the top. Anyway, I hope you enjoy watching. I hope you find this fun, because I really do. I have really so enjoyed doing this. And I think if you're doing this for a candle jar, definitely you don't want it too thin. I don't like glass candle jars. They make me so anxious. I'm really, really scared of candle jars in glass. I mean, I've seen so many disasters. Anyway, this is looking a bit beautiful. I hope you agree with me. And you know what? I watched a lady today, and she said the way to do your pottery is knowing when to stop, like when to stop, you know, adding more water, when to stop pulling up the walls. And I thought to myself, that's pretty true, because I reckon you could just keep doing it, and then of course it ends a little bit disastrous, doesn't it? You know, because then you do it too much. So what I'm doing in the middle here is I'm compressing the middle, and I'm just literally taking the water out. So I hope you agree that it's looking pretty good. I don't think I'm going to touch anymore, but now we're just going to fix the edge. So I've got this little tool, which is just, you know, it's just a, I don't know, a little wooden tool. So basically you can just add it at the bottom here, and we can make a really lovely bottom to that, which means it's just going to cut a little bit around. So if you take it this way, it's going to take more off this way. So let's do it this way so I can show you what I'm doing. I'm just getting the, you know, the rubbish off it in between. And I've seen some people that are super duper professionals that have been doing this for years. They don't even do it. They just literally grab it with their hands. So depending on which way you're holding this will depend on how much you're literally taking off. And there is something us doing too much. So I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm not going to touch it because I'm going to ruin it. So let's turn this off. And I mean, I hope you agree. Doesn't it look beautiful? I'm not going to even jinx myself by taking it off here. For now, I'm going to leave it here. And if you have like a little crevice or something on the side, don't panic about that. Leave it. My suggestion is leave it, because you can always sand something down later on. This is only the first bit. You know, we can often move this. And I'm going to be doing my new candle jars and trying not to be too stressed about perfection. I'm really honestly trying to do that. I'm going to tell myself, Rhonda, don't be too perfect about it. And then, of course, what I would do is measure from here to here. And remember, it's going to shrink. It's not going to stay this size, because jars don't stay this size. They actually shrink. So that pottery, you know, has a shrinkage rate. They're all a little bit different, so I'm not going to try and be fancy and tell you. But anyway, for now, we have done it. I hope you love it. I hope you think it's beautiful. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye, friends.